Dr. Joe Perrin of Zen Golf on Moving Meditation, episode 865.
This is Golf Smarter.
Welcome back to the Golf Smarter podcast, Dr. Joe.
Hello, Fred. Great to be here with you.
It's so great that you're here because we got to set this up. I just got back from vacation, 2 weeks in Japan. And while we were there, it was an incredible trip. And every day we had something. We were in group travel. So every day we got to meet different people who live in Japan and what their life is like, whether we were learning how to make sushi or learned about Japanese drumming or sumo wrestling, and some controversial topics as well that happened. But one day near the end of our trip, we get on this little boat. We're outside of Kyoto, and we get on this little boat where we had to take our shoes off on the boat. And the boat is being pushed up the river by two gentlemen with bamboo poles. And we're in Arashiyama is the town we were in outside of Kyoto. And so we go up this river 15, 20 minutes. We get out of the boat, put our shoes back on, and we're practically in the woods. We're in a forest, and we have to walk up 280 steps to this golden pavilion. And we met with a Zen Buddhist monk. And we meditated with this monk. And it was really, there's only 10 people in our group, but it was a really powerful moment for all of us. But leading up to the part where we meditated with him, he's explaining Zen Buddhism.
He gave you a little talk?
Meditation. Give us a little talk, and there was this, and he's talking about finding zero, or it's about balance, about bringing into your balance and coming in and finding zero. Right? And losing the ego. And while he's talking, I'm sitting there going, this sounds awfully familiar to me. This is like the kind of stuff that I've been dealing with not only with your book, Zen Golf, but just all the conversations we've had, and all this stuff is making sense to me. I mean, that's what Golf Smarter is all about. And I'm listening to him, thinking, this is like familiar to me. And I'm loving it. And then at one point, somebody asks him, well, can you only meditate when you're sitting? And I'm thinking to myself, no, I meditate when I'm on the golf course. I mean, that's where I get into my zone. And his answer, well, let me just play the answer right here.
Okay.
So you'll hear, I played it for you, but I want to share it with everybody. This is a part where you'll hear the Zen monk start talking, and then our interpreter, our guide, will interpret, and then she'll overlap. So you'll get to hear the next couple minutes of why I reached out to Dr. Joe as soon as I got home.
座禅っていうのはこう座っただけの瞑想じゃなくて、立った瞑想、歩く瞑想、いろいろありますね。
There are different kinds of meditation. Walking meditation, standing meditation, sitting style, different.
で、私はアメリカのある本を読んだことがあります。日本語で。
Once I read American book in Japanese.
それは禅とゴルフっていう本だったんですね。
That was the title was Zen and Golf.
Zen Golf?
Zen Golf.
Zen Golf, Dr. Joseph Perrin.
Joseph Perrin.
あ、そうでしょう。
Yes.
I'm a student. I've spent a lot of time with him, had him on my program dozens of times.
Really?
Yes.
知ってるらしいです。はい。
でもそれを私も読みました。
He has read it.
とても良かったです。
Very nice. So when we talk about Zen, it's not always about sitting Zen.
はい。それは何が大切かというと、今動く動かないっていうのがありましたね。
So he talks to move and not move.
で、好き嫌いがありますね。
Like and dislike.
損得ね。
To get and to lose.
で、男性、女性。
Men, women.
日本人、アメリカ人。
Japanese, American.
その その真ん中が大切だっていう教えなんですね。
So to be neutral is important.
で、プラスとマイナスがあって、真ん中がゼロですね。
There is a plus and minus and neutral, like zero.
で、これをゼロを掴むっていうのが禅の教えなんですね。
And to get this zero is Zen's teaching.
ゼロを掴むととても心が安らかになりますね。
When you get this zero, or you get very peaceful mind
とてもこうハーモニーがあってね。
with harmony.
はい。
So it was mind-blowing for me when he was talking about, the different types of meditation, and there's moving meditation, and he says, I actually read this book that was translated into Japanese called The Zen of Golfing, and I'm like, wait, and you hear my voice, Zen Golf by Dr. Joe Parent? He goes, yeah, that's the one. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a student.
When I heard that, it was mind-blowing. That was great. And I sent it to my agent, and she said, I'm so proud of the reach of this book. Proud of it.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
That's what I was feeling. It's like, oh, I'm on the right track here.
It's interesting when I listened to the clip and he said Zen and golf, and then it was you corrected. You said, I think you mean Zen golf, and he corrected himself and said, yeah,
Right.
Zen golf. And the interesting thing I wanted to share with you, when it was translated into Japanese, on the cover, the word Zen is in the old Japanese script, and the word golf is in the modern Japanese script. And I was talking to somebody and saying, what's happening with people's receptivity? And he said, well, it's confusing to people because they don't put the old culture and the new culture together with each other in Japan. It's hard for them to cross over. So if we had called it Zen and golf, it would have been easier for them rather than it being one thing. And in fact, based on this interview you just did, I am going to be talking to my agent and the publisher in Japan and see if the next printing we can call it Zen and golf and see if that makes a difference to people in their in their experience. But it's been in.
Well, he referred to it. The way it was translated, it was interpreted as the Zen of golfing.
Oh, interesting.
I think is how she interpreted it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well,
and for further clarification, it was at Temple Senkoji, and he was Monk Obayashi. Just get that out there. I got to get that right.
Obayashi.
Obayashi.
That is it is so meaningful to me that it connected in that way for him, for a Zen monk to have the connection with it. And as we've talked about before, this is the 20th anniversary. I think it's been in Japan for at least 15 years. So thank you so much for sharing that with me. It really is.
Oh, absolutely.
Is moving.
Yeah. So we, as we're flying from San Francisco to Japan, we flew directly to Tokyo. Mm-hmm. We were in the air for 10 hours. Whew. And it was mostly cloud overcast over the Pacific the whole way. Just, couldn't see the ocean. And there was nothing to see. It was just ocean the whole way.
Right.
Then as we're making our final approach into Tokyo, and we're coming down, and we go through the clouds, and as we break through the clouds, the first thing I see are golf courses.
I thought you were going to say Mount Fuji.
This is going to be great.
Golf
No, and I have stories about that too, but let's take a break, take a little time out, and I want to talk about moving meditation and your interpretation and how we can put that into our game, and we'll do that when we come back right after this. I'm glad that not only can I share that story with you and how proud I was of you that I was there and it was like all came together in one spot. And I was so happy for you. And again, it was so powerful for me to like make that connection. But I want to talk about meditation and the Zen meditation and how you incorporated it and how we can take advantage of that.
Well, in the
buy
talk,
into it because I'm all in.
in the talk that he gave, talking about zero, what he was talking about was positive, negative, and neutral. And usually on the gaining side, we have attachment and grasping. And on the negative side, we have aversion and hatred, and so what he's saying, we have to find, and in fact, Zen and Buddhism are known as the middle way, and it's the middle, free from the two extremes of grasping and aversion. So experiencing things as they are, rather than superimposing how we'd like them to be, or trying to add things to them to make them the way we want them to be, or trying to get rid of part of things to, again, make it the way we want it to be. And I want the world to be the way I want it to be is the expression of ego. And not ego in the sense of a stable, well-adjusted self, which is, we can think of ego that way, but ego clinging and self-centeredness. Ego-centeredness is the issue. It's not a problem to be proud of yourself. It's a problem to be really proud of yourself and more and needing to put others down to make yourself feel bigger and things, those kinds of things. So it's all self-centeredness as opposed to how I am connected to everyone else and to the environment. And we're all different parts of this beautiful unified field of experience. Now, sometimes people talk about, oh, it's all one. And in the Zen tradition, we don't talk about it's all one, but we do say it's not two. It's not this versus that. It's not me versus you. At the same time, we're not just one homogeneous bowl of Jell-O.
No.
We have our individuality, but it doesn't have to be at the expense of others. Now, when you talk about moving, so I hope that's helpful. That's what he meant by zero. He didn't mean blank. He didn't mean empty. He meant zero on the sense of pushing or pulling, but rather being.
Right. I saw it as a way of balance.
Exactly.
Bringing in balance.
Exactly.
And how many times have you and I talked about the just with ego is losing your ego on your golf shots. It's like not being invested in the result, being in the process.
We want, it's the chapter I have called "To Care or Not to Care" in Zen Golf, and it's not disregarding the outcome, because we want to have a good result. That's that's part of the fun of golf, hitting the shot where we want to. It's being attached to the outcome. So the word "to care" has two definitions. One is to take an interest in, to care about, and the other is to worry about. And so, Fred, if you're getting ready for a golf shot, and I say, Fred, I care about you, you feel supported. If I say, Fred, I worry about you, it's not so much. And so we say to ourselves,
not supported, but
I care about this shot. Great. I worry about this shot. That's where the interference comes in. And I want to share something with you with regard to meditation in motion. This is called standing meditation by my Zen archery teacher. And I think you can see this picture. It's me in a Kyoto outfit. Kyoto, Q means bow, and do is way, like judo, kendo. Kyoto
Q is also number 9.
The way of the bow.
Uh-huh.
Great. Okay, so my teacher was Shibata, and sensei means master, but Shibata was his family name. And he was the 20th in line of imperial bow makers and archery teachers to the emperor.
Whoa.
So the 20th Shibata was my teacher. And what we did, there's a book called Zen and the Art of Archery. And it's about a German man who goes to Japan to learn archery. And it reminded me so much of golf because there's this whole routine. You do a very formal, elaborate way of setting the arrow in the bow, nocking the arrow and setting it in the bow, and then relating with the target. You actually, with your eyes, draw a line from the target. And they say the line straight down is like a spider dropping down on its web, and then a line straight across the ground and up to you, like you would use your alignment in golf. And you align yourself that way and connect to the target. And then any kind of trying to make the arrow go there, not so good, does not work. But just letting go and the way it's described in the Zen tradition is the arrow shoots itself. You don't decide, now I'm going to let go. There's just a moment where letting go happens to you. And when that happens, and you just go, ah, and the arrow goes. And it's amazing the accuracy that you have when you've aligned yourself and then stop trying and just let it happen. Sounds like golf, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm sitting here shaking my head going, yeah, this is definitely applicable to our game of golf. No question about it. And you know, that was one of the things that just blew me away about being in Japan was the attention to detail on so many things that we just kind of, you know, the United States, we've got this, I'm talking about the United States, it's like, you know, do your own thing and, you know, just everyone try to make a brand for themselves, right? Here I am on this podcast. It's like just creating a brand for yourself. And yet Japan, there's a very popular saying of the nail that sticks up will be hammered down, right? So everything is kind of just they don't like people that stick out. They don't like those who stick out. And
it's an interesting social dynamic. And if you think about it, it's a real lot of people in a small land area.
Yes.
And so, and not a non-expandable land area. It's ocean all the way around. So
it's an island.
It's an island. And so because of that, society had to grow up in a way that had to be extra harmonious and not a lot of nails sticking up, as they say. Now, when America was colonized, and founded, there was not many people on a whole lot of land, and when it started, it was expandable. They didn't even know there was a limit out to the west. So if you wanted to do your own thing and did not want to be very socially conforming and responsible, you just, get out of Dodge. and
go west, young man.
Go west and head for the mountains. And so people our culture started to, and then people became innovative, and our culture started to prize that and reinforce that. So it's very much an environmental effect that creates the particular kind of social fabric that exists, and you can look at that in lots and lots of different cultures, and it's interesting to me how that is going to evolve, how humans are going and our society is going to evolve given the changes in our environment and population and relationship to climate, to the animal populations, to the forests, to everything, and there and the land filling up with people. So how does that change? So it's going to be an interesting evolution.
Yep. Hey, I'm going to take another time out. We'll be back. I'm going to continue this conversation about my trip to Japan and what I learned and how we can apply it to our next round of golf. And we'll be right back. Dr. Joe, do you have a regular practice of meditation? Do you do it regularly?
I do. It started when I was 20, so that's 52 years of regular practice. I like to do it first thing in the morning before the day gets away from one, and then for a little bit before I go to sleep at night, just sitting up in bed and doing a little meditation there. Not lying down, because that lasts about a minute and I'm out. But sitting up.
Right. So what surprised me when we did our 2 brief meditations with Monk Obayashi, was he had us keep our eyes open.
Right.
And we were all a little surprised about that, because we thought we were just supposed to, put our hands together and make the circle with our forefinger and thumb, and close and focus on something. And yet he had us focus on anything we wanted, and I picked a very small spot near my feet. And he had us trying to bring Mount Fuji to wrap something around Mount Fuji and bring it to the master. And
That's interesting.
Completely forgot about doing that. Yeah. But then, like, when we did it a second time, I'm like, okay, I'm going to think about moving Mount Fuji. And I did get to see Mount Fuji, which was a big part of my excitement for this trip. I've always been fascinated. I had to do a report in elementary school about Mount Fuji, and I've been fascinated ever since. And so the second time I was thinking, well, how do you get the right answer on this, of how will he respond to it? And I kept thinking to myself, well, Mount Fuji, like you tomorrow, you'll be an image to me, since we won't be face to face. But Mount Fuji is an image, so I can move the image to him. I don't know if he would have given me a thumbs up on that one. But the fact that keeping the eyes open during the meditation was...
Well, I can offer commentary on both. Okay, let's start with the Mount Fuji. Very traditionally in Japan, in the Zen tradition, in particularly one of the Zen traditions, there's Soto and Rinzai, and in the Rinzai tradition, they use what's called a koan, Koan, and it is a query or problem that has no rational intellectual solution. Like they will say, show me the sound of one hand clapping. That's the most traditional one. Well, there isn't.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then he's saying, but you still have to show it to me. And that it transcends, it just kind of short circuits our usual thinking and drops us into another level of simply being without figuring out how to be. And so it's not possible for you to throw a lasso around Mount Fuji and bring it to the master. But as soon as you make the effort and exhaust your mind of how to figure out how to do that, because you'll come up with some clever solution and you'll say, no, that's not it, until you give up. And it's the giving up that they're getting at. Giving up the trying so hard and going and then saying, and you go, and eventually something will happen and you go, it's already here. And you go, good. But it's only already here when you've given up exhaustively trying. And then if you say, Joe told me the answer, so next time I see him, I'm going to say, it's already here. And they go, no, wrong. No, too clever. No, it is. They'll say it is, then why don't I see it? And then you got another problem, and they'll keep giving you problems until you give up trying to figure out the right answer. Now, for eyes open,
the right
that's
answer.
actually very traditional kind of Buddhist meditation. The eyes closed is more of a kind of going to the inner space or off to some other astral plane or something like that. And when I teach my meditation class, I do start with the eyes closed to get people settled and centered. But then we open our eyes, because the word Buddhism, if we translate it into English, would translate as awakeism. Bud means awake. Buddha is simply one who woke up. Well, you don't wake up with your eyes closed. You have your eyes wide open. And you're including, again, it goes beyond the self-centered, so you're open to your environment. And you let your eyes rest without grabbing onto something. In fact, we talk about having a soft gaze. You let your eyes rest on a spot, but you don't look at the spot. It's almost like you let your eyes rest on the space between you and whatever appears in your field of vision. And you have a soft gaze. I've taught that in putting, and sometimes they talk about it as the quiet eye or the soft gaze. You don't really look tightly at the ball. You see the whole space below you. And you actually see the putter move through the space below you, rather than looking at the ball. So in meditating, you open your eyes so that you're aware. I'm here. My body's in this space. Rather than eyes closed and off to dreamland. Even if it's a daydream, you're still off to dreamland. You're not awake.
Right.
So the idea is be awake. You sit there, and when you realize, well, I'm sitting here, but I wasn't here. The thoughts took me away and away and away, and I was someplace else. And as soon as you realize you were someplace else, you're already back. You don't have to say, I need to come back to the present moment. That's where you wake up from, the present moment. So you're already back, and so you just make a note and you go, that was wandering, this is being here. And you reconnect with your posture, your breathing. And when you first start, you have your eyes half open, gazing down, so that you're in a contained space. Maybe they say down the angle of your nose, so it ends up being 4 to 6 feet in front of you. And so down that line with your eyes half open. Then the next phase, after you've kind of calmed your mind down with tuning into your body and your breathing, the next phase you open your eyes wider and you open up to the environment and tune into your sense perceptions along with your breathing, and you breathe out and don't worry so much about the in. But it's an opening out, opening out, opening out, and resting in that open space. And that connects very much with golf, because when you look out at the target, you want to see precisely, and so it's called tranquility. It's called precision within space. So you have precision about how you want to see the shot, but you see the bigger space in which it's taking place, and that allows you to move to the spot, the target that gives you the most room to play, in which you're not going to be afraid of it going one way or the other. And so you want to, when you sit there, you want to open up your peripheral vision and see everything in the space without fixating on any one thing.
Wow.
There's
totally see how that's relevant to golf. Yeah.
And I wanted to offer to people, if they were interested, every couple of weeks, I offer a session taking them through these stages of meditation. It's a Zoom session that's free of charge. If you go to drjoeparent.com, under free resources, it says Practicing Mindful Awareness. And the link is there. I think the next one is a week from Thursday. At 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's noon Eastern and 5 p.m. in the UK.
And that would be Thursday, the 27th of October in 2022.
Correct.
For those keeping track. All right, let's take another time out. I want to get more into moving meditation. We'll be right back. So my wife in the last few years has really gotten to do meditation on a regular basis, and she's really loving it. And she keeps asking me, "Don't you want to do it? Don't you want to do it?" And it's like, I don't sit still well enough to feel comfortable in approaching that. But I was actually amazed while we were doing this meditation in Japan that he said, there will be things that will distract you. Try not to be distracted by them. Like, I'm going to walk around and I'm going to place a little, it was a sweet, some cracker, because we had mochi afterwards. And so he was placing crackers on everybody's things. And the woman sitting next to me, she kept moving or twitching her feet. And I saw it on my peripheral, but I was trying to just stay focused on that, hard focus, unfortunately, but a hard focus on that single spot that I was looking at. It was hard to do. I'm just,
Well, I think that it has to do with, it's when they say try not to be distracted. I think that's a challenging instruction, because as soon as that happens, you start becoming hyper aware of the things that might distract you. In the same way that
don't think about the pink elephant,
or don't hit it out of bounds to the left. That's not really the last swing thought we want to have in our mind before we make our golf swing. Instead, what I teach is the mind does move. So the key is, it's not to try to stop it, it's to recognize it and have a sense of humor about it and smile of, oh, there it goes again, and then you're back. And when you don't make as big a deal about it, and you expand your vision and regard it as included in your experience rather than taking you away from something, was her foot wiggling in the past or the future? No, it was wiggling right then.
No,
it was wiggling right then in the present. So that's included in the present experience. Then if you include it, then you're not distracted. If you narrow your focus and say anything but this distracts me, you're bound to be distracted. If you
Of
say
course.
all of this is happening in the present moment, oh, there goes that. Okay. There goes that. Okay. Then I'm not distracted. I'm open to whatever I'm experiencing. When I then go, oh, that's her foot wiggling. I wonder what's wrong with her. Maybe she has this thing. I heard that there was this condition. Whoop, and then you're gone.
Right.
So the
There
commentary
you
on
go.
it is what takes you, it removes you,
Oh,
first remove, second remove, third remove. But if it's just foot wiggling, was I
it
distracted?
is.
No.
No, I worked really hard at that. It's like, okay, it's happening, but
Car
I'm
going
not
by.
there. I'm here. That we
Now,
didn't
you go,
hear. We were
car
in a
going
mountaintop.
by. Car going by. Oh, I think I get to take my car in for an oil change. No, I got a coupon for, whoop, and you're gone. And you're already in the garage with your car for an oil change. That's a daydream. And as soon as you realize, you go, wait a minute, I'm not in the garage. I'm here sitting on this cushion. Back. Just sense of humor. People have a hard time because they think that, oh, I'm doing it wrong. But you're not doing it wrong. The process is the mind goes, it comes back. When you don't take yourself so seriously, then the mind gets tired of wandering and just settles down a little bit. But
So let's talk about
Zen,
moving meditation and what
well, I want to say one more
and
thing on that.
golf.
One more
Oh,
thing
I'm
on
sorry.
that.
Go ahead.
A Zen teacher, great Zen teacher, Suzuki Roshi, in a book, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, says, give your cow a large, spacious meadow. Give your mind, if you try to pen a cow in, it gets very restless. Give it a large, spacious meadow, and it finds a spot and just settles there. So, in the same way, that's how you work with your mind. Now, as far as moving meditation, it's very traditional to mix the two. So I think that it is important to sit and go into neutral, because if you're moving, there's a tendency to say, okay, I'm doing something, I'm getting somewhere. But traditionally, what's done is you sit and you be with your body and your breathing and whatever's in your field of vision. And also bodily sensations and sounds, whatever's happening in the present moment. You do that for a little bit, and then you get up and you walk. And you hold your hands, one on top of the other at your navel, or just below your navel at your belt line. And you just walk, and your awareness, instead of your breathing, is on the movement and placement of your legs and movement of your legs and placement of your feet. Moving and placing, swinging and placing, swinging and placing. And your eyes better be open. Otherwise, you just walk into the wall. And you can either walk a certain number of paces, turn around and walk back a certain number of paces. And if you want, you can count them. That's another thing to do with your mind that keeps it present. Or you walk in a circle around a room, inside a room, or around the outside of a building. Very often you'll see Buddhist practitioners go to some kind of, if they go to the Zen temple, they may walk around it and do a walking meditation around the temple. It's called circumambulation, around the temple a few times. It's a meditation practice. So that's moving meditation. And I have my players do that between shots. Now, once
explain that.
Your legs swinging, feet placing. Swinging, placing, feeling the grass underneath your feet as you walk. That's always present, aware of your environment, feeling the ground under your feet until you get near your shot. Now then, when you get really more into it, and you breathe out and let the swing happen, then your swing is a meditation in action.
That's where I want to go. Well, so much of what we've been talking about lately on the show, and that's really had a huge impact on me, is external focus, is not thinking about the swing, not thinking about what I'm supposed to do while I'm doing the shot. It's just focusing elsewhere. It's really been amazing.
What I teach for that is a transition. That you do what I call a programming swing. What people usually call a practice swing or a rehearsal, I call it a programming swing. You're programming into your body a certain feel, a certain rhythm. Not so mechanical as feel and rhythm. And when you programmed it in, you go, yep, that's the feel and rhythm that I want. And you might have a key, something like complete and through. Complete on the back and through on the follow through. So it's balanced again, one side and the other. If you just think complete, you forget to go through. If you just think through, you may not complete. So complete and through is an example. And then you just say that to yourself as you step into a dress. And then the only thing that's in your mind is awareness of where you want to send the ball. You let your body do the program and send the ball there the best it can. That's the external focus. But you have to have an internal focus to train to program yourself to fulfill the external focus.
So if this conversation has been intriguing to any listener anywhere in the world, please pick up Zen Golf. Pick up the book Zen Golf, Zen Putting. Just look up Dr. Joe Parent. You'll find a list of books that are all incredibly valuable, and that's why I love having these conversations with you, because I always walk away with something new. And this one, I just was so blown away by being in Japan, and your name came up out of nowhere. But it made absolute sense that it did, and I was just so proud of you and happy for you that I had to share it with you. And as soon as I got back from vacation, to be able to have this conversation so I can put it out there.
Fred, thank you so much.